This is not an easy episode. To prepare for this episode, I have to think about mistakes I've made, and I have to remember some of the worst times we've had with food allergies. Knowing that things I did, even though they were accidents, may have caused these situations makes my heart ache. The mom guilt is real, and exposing my incompetence to all of you and the world, it's hard. But let's just say I'm so thankful that all the situations turned out well, and we can now just call them learning experiences. So whether your little one has been newly diagnosed or you've been at this a few years, I hope this episode helps you. And please know, I don't share this to scare you. I'm hoping to show you that nobody is perfect and to help you learn from my mistakes so you don't have to. Let's get to it. Hey food allergy mama. If you're here, you've likely experienced the scary and lonely food allergy diagnosis with your child. Unfortunately, food allergy parents aren't taught how to navigate the food allergy lifestyle, and it's easy to feel alone and discouraged sometimes. But I'm here to show you that food allergy life doesn't have to feel restrictive, scary, or isolated. I'm Corinna, and I'm a 17-year food allergy mom and food allergy coach at Friendly Pantry Consulting. I specialize in making food allergy life safer and less worrisome for food allergy families like yours. I'm not perfect, but over 17 years, I've learned a lot the hard way, and I'm sharing the secrets and resources you won't hear anywhere else that will help you feel confident living with food allergies faster and easier than I did. From introducing allergens, travel, navigating school, and educating friends and family, this podcast will give you the essential tips and strategies you need to help your food allergy child and family thrive. Welcome to the show. So if you've been here a while, you may know that I've already done an episode about this, so this is an expansion to that earlier one. It's one of my most listened to episodes, so I recommend that you go back and listen to episode number 2 because there's some really, really important things learned in that episode. And of course, there are vulnerable stories too. I probably get even more vulnerable than I do in this episode, so definitely listen to that right after this. The first mistake I want to talk about is assuming that teachers know how to navigate food allergies in their classroom. So I have a lot to say about school and food allergies, and as of recording, my allergy daughter is in grade 11, and I just have to say that out of all of the 14 years of school, which includes kindergarten and 2 years of preschool, we have maybe only had 3 teachers who truly understood the importance of food allergy management. Even then, they may have understood how to use an EpiPen, but they still didn't fully consider inclusion in the classroom because food is everywhere at school. Now, I am not about spreading fear, so I don't want you to be afraid of school. But what I really want to be clear about is that you will need to advocate for your child. You will need to know what to ask for and to do it in a way that is going to foster collaboration and teamwork with your teacher and your school. Now, if you're listening from the US, many of you may have heard of getting a 504 plan. This is a legally binding plan that requires a school to follow preset guidelines for your child that you make with the school at the beginning of the school year. So with a 504 plan, you can request things like if there's activities that involve food, your teacher must contact you, let's say X number of days in advance, so you can send an alternate or find something similar, and all sorts of things like that. So you would have to go through, it's very detailed. And I don't think that 504 plans are a bad thing, and they actually are probably very helpful in some situations. But I want you to consider whether it's required right off the bat. The reason being is that sometimes requesting a 504 before even talking to the school first will put the school on the defense right away. And if they feel like their back is against the wall, it could hurt your relationship with them right off the bat. I feel like having a positive team-based relationship when it comes to navigating food allergies at school is really, really important. So I say that it's a good idea to first discuss food allergies with the school and your teacher and see how they're managing them currently. Test the waters to see how receptive they are to your food allergy requests. If they're not receptive or cooperative or they don't take food allergies seriously, then I would definitely go for the 504 plan. That's just me, and you have the option, and it's great to use it if you have it. Unfortunately, here in Canada, we don't have that option, so it's just really important to educate our teachers any which way. but I have a 10-page school food allergy template that talks about things that you might want to go over with your school and teacher at the beginning of every school year. You can use it whether or not you decide to do a formal 504 plan or not. I also have something called the School Success Pack that's going to help you get teachers on your side. It's actually an email, and you will have to meet them to educate them to go over everything, but that email sets the stage, and it's going to help them understand why food allergies are serious in their classroom. So if your child is starting out in school, definitely check that out. Now, don't get me wrong. Teachers are not out to get food allergy kids. They want to help and they care. The problem is that they just don't know what they don't know because they've never lived with food allergies. Unfortunately, food allergy awareness at school is really lacking. Now, we have not had any reaction at school, and I believe that it's because I've been really vigilant in educating and talking to teachers about food allergies every year. But here's where I failed. I failed to talk about how teachers can be more inclusive for kids with food allergies. And I didn't realize how much food impacts not only the lunchroom, but also the classroom and how excluding it is, especially for classroom celebrations. So picture this story. My daughter was about 5 or 6 years old, and while school was not her favorite place, she definitely enjoyed parts of it, like playing at recess. That day started like any other with our usual routine and hug goodbye. But when I pulled into the school pickup lane at the end of the day, I could see things had changed. Her usual bright smile was gone, replaced by red, teary eyes and a quivering lip. It didn't take long for the story to come spilling out. At school today, her best friend Arya brought cupcakes to celebrate her birthday. Not just any cupcakes, but of course they were perfectly decorated ones, light pink and blue with sprinkles, topped with my daughter's favorite Disney character. My daughter was thrilled. She and Arya loved the same kind of cupcakes, and to her, that was just one more reason they were best friends. She had spent all day looking forward to the sweet, creamy frosting and the special moment of celebrating with her friend. But when the time came, my daughter wasn't allowed to have one. Her teacher gently reminded her that because of her allergy, the cupcake wasn't safe. And just like that, the excitement she had been carrying all day crumbled into disappointment. But my daughter understood. She knew what could happen if she ate something unsafe. She didn't want to break out in itchy, ugly hives, and she didn't want to feel sick or throw up. And she especially didn't want to faint or struggle to breathe in front of her whole class, needing her EpiPen. So she did what she always does. She had the same safe treat that I pack for her every time. But today, that safe treat felt anything but special. She held it together, but when she saw me, the floodgates opened. The frustration, the sadness, the feeling of being left out, it all poured out in one big heartbroken sobs in the backseat of my car. As her mom, it broke my heart too. I knew this wasn't the first time she was going to feel this way, and it wouldn't be the last. But at that moment, all I could do was hold her close, let her cry, and remind her that I understood. Her feelings are real, and that no matter what, she wasn't alone. After this event, I was determined to educate teachers not only about the safety aspects of food allergies at school, but also the inclusivity aspects as well. It was a lesson learned, and even so, it was still a work in progress over many years. I have so many episodes about school in past. If you're interested in that, go to episode 4, 17, 19, 26. There's even a few more there that I didn't mention, but this will get you started. I plan to have more episodes as well, but for now, I want you to know that you need to prepare for the fact that you are going to take a very active role when it comes to navigating food allergies at school for safety and inclusivity. Myth or mistake number 2 is going to a birthday party without mentioning allergies and quietly bringing in our own food. In the beginning of our food allergy journey, it was hard to know when I was asking too much of others. I really didn't want to ask them to adjust their party for my child, but I didn't know how to keep my child safe without sounding a little demanding because I didn't know what I was doing. So in the beginning, to avoid ruffling any feathers, I was hoping to just quietly bring her own food and then stay and watch my daughter to ensure she didn't put allergens in her mouth or have any type of reaction. The problem was that once I got to the party, it felt really awkward because I would bring her own food and people would ask all sorts of questions about why I was doing that. It was uncomfortable because I was just hoping to quietly work behind the scenes and keep my daughter safe. But if the parents didn't ask about it, then the kids usually would. And it would draw a lot of attention, and it was exactly the opposite of what I wanted. So instead, I started to change a couple of things. One is that I would talk to the birthday party hosts so at least they would be aware of what I was doing and why. And I never expect them to accommodate my child's allergies. But when they know what I'm doing and why, it really helps them to decide if maybe there's one or two things that are safe that they could actually serve to everyone, or that little things that they could do that they would want to help with. Not only would this keep my daughter safer, but it would allow her to be included too. And of course, it doesn't happen every time, but when it does, it's so helpful and appreciated. As I got more practice, I found ways of wording things so that it didn't sound demanding or like I was that mom. It took a while to get there, but it was worth it. Giving the parents a head up not only relieved the awkwardness at the party and lowered the amount of questions I got, but it also helped for future events with that friend. So maybe the parents couldn't do anything to accommodate allergies at that time, but if our kids stayed friends, they sometimes considered it in the future, and it actually made things very allergy friendly at future events. Another thing to remember is if you don't tell people about it in the beginning, you run the risk of it getting really awkward later. So it's like that whole situation where somebody calls you the wrong name and you don't correct it. And then it gets so far and you've known them for so long that it's really, really awkward to change it now because you've been talking with them for a few months. It's the same with allergies. If you haven't already, you need to go back and listen to the very first episode of this podcast because there's another story about when my daughter had a reaction at a play date and why. And I know you'll find it really eye-opening. If your child is starting to go to play dates or birthday parties, or you have social events with family and friends, and you want to make it easier to tell people about allergies in a non-demanding, clear way, check out my social event survival pack. You're going to get those templates that I banged out over many years and learned to perfect so that it's easier for you to explain allergies in a way that people understand. There's even verbal responses so that you know what to say when someone says, "Oh, a little won't hurt," or something similar. If you're interested in those templates, go to friendlypantry.com/social to get more information. Okay, let's move on to my myth and mistake number 3, and that is thinking that I could buy snacks and non-perishables at a travel destination. So we're talking about food allergy travel here. I want you to use your imagination for a second. Do you remember what shopping for groceries was like right after the diagnosis? If you were anything like me, it was hugely frustrating and discouraging. There were so many labels to read and so many don't work for your child's allergens. In fact, I think I may have broken down crying once or twice in the store. I remember that it does get better and you settle into finding your safe products, and although it takes a long time to shop, it's not as discouraging anymore. So when it comes to traveling with food allergies, I don't want you to make this mistake. No matter how allergy friendly you've heard the destination is, don't make the mistake of buying all the snacks and the non-perishables at the destination. Instead, pack them from home. Why? Because a vacation is meant to be relaxing, fun, and exciting. It's not a time to relive those days of frustration trying to find safe foods. Instead, take the time to plan your food before you leave. Pack the main non-perishables and snacks, and then you can just buy your fresh meat and veggies at the destination. This is so much easier and allows you to feel way less worry. Trust me on this one. We have traveled worldwide and used some form of this on every single trip. If you want more allergy-friendly and relaxing vacation, check out my food allergy travel workshop where I'm going to dive into all of my travel strategies that we've used traveling to Ireland, Spain, France, the UK, Mexico, Bahamas, all over Canada, and all over the US. There's even a travel planning pack that's going to help you figure out what food to bring and how much so you never have to feel like you can't feed your child. Go to friendlypantry.com/travel for more information. And as a side note, if you are starting to think about traveling with food allergies, or maybe you do it all the time, I have a huge announcement coming soon that I think you are going to love. I'm still working on things behind the scenes, but I will be announcing that as soon as I can. So if travel with food allergies is something you are interested in, stay tuned to future episodes. You won't want to miss it. Of course, the myths and mistakes that I talked about in this episode are not the only ones. There's way more out there, but I really hope that this episode has helped you, and I'm sure I'll be doing more of these as time goes on. Let me know what helped you the most. Was there a myth that you were worrying about? Send me a DM on Instagram and let me know if this was helpful. Also, let me know what topics you want me to cover in future podcasts. I can't wait to hear from you. Just go to @friendlypantry on Instagram. Thanks for listening, and bye for now. Before you go, Mama, if you love this episode and want deeper support, head over to friendlypantry.com to see how we can partner together to keep your food allergy child safer and worry less. There's no need for wasting time searching all over Instagram, TikTok, and the web to get the practical knowledge you need for your family. While you're there, grab your free Food Allergy Kids Empowerment Guide or the newly diagnosed checklist today. Topics are not medical advice and are the opinions, views, and property of Friendly Pantry Consulting Incorporated. All rights reserved. Always contact your board-certified allergist immunologist for health advice.